Imagine waking up with a splitting headache in the year 1860. The doctor arrives, examines you for about 30 seconds, and then pulls out a metal drill. "Don't worry," he says with a smile, "I'm just going to drill a hole in your skull to let the evil spirits out." This isn't the setup for a horror movie. This was actual medical practice for thousands of years. And it's just one of the bizarre treatments that people genuinely believed would heal them. Today on Hoodie History, we're diving into 7 medical practices from the past that will make you incredibly grateful for modern medicine. Hey, welcome to Hoodie History. I'm Michael, your guide through the weird and wonderful world of the past. Today, we're looking at historical medical practices that were once considered cutting-edge science, but now make us cringe, squirm, or thank our lucky stars we live in the 21st century. Next time you complain about waiting at the doctor's office, remember, at least they're not suggesting bloodletting with leeches. Or are they? Number 1. Trepanation, drilling holes in skulls. Let's start with one of history's oldest surgical procedures, trepanation, the practice of drilling or scraping holes into the human skull. Dating back to the Neolithic period around 7000 BCE, people across the globe, from Peru to Africa, were drilling holes into each other's heads. And surprisingly, many patients survived. We know this because archaeologists have found skulls with healed bone growth around the holes. What was the point? Well, healers believed it relieved pressure on the brain, treated epilepsy, headaches, and mental disorders. Or, my personal favorite reason, it created an escape route for demons and evil spirits trapped inside your head. The craziest part? Trepanation never completely disappeared. In the 1960s, a man named Bart Hughes performed it on himself with a Black & Decker electric drill because he believed it would enhance his brain function by increasing blood flow. That's some extreme DIY home improvement. Number 2. Bloodletting, draining away disease. Got a fever, stomachache, plague? The solution for about 2,000 years was simple. You clearly had too much blood in your body. Bloodletting was based on the ancient Greek idea that the body contained 4 humours: blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. Illness meant these humours were out of balance, and removing blood would restore harmony. Doctors would either cut open a vein or apply leeches, sometimes removing up to 4 litres of blood. That's almost 80% of an adult's blood supply. It's a miracle anyone survived the treatment. The practice reached its peak in the 18th and 19th centuries. When George Washington fell ill in 1799, his doctors removed nearly half his blood in 16 hours, which, spoiler alert, didn't help. Many historians believe the bloodletting probably hastened his death. Shockingly, medicinal leeches made a comeback in modern medicine for very specific purposes, like helping with blood flow after reconstructive surgery. But don't worry, your GP isn't going to prescribe them for your next cold. Number 3. Mercury, the liquid cure-all. For centuries, mercury was considered a miracle cure for everything from syphilis to constipation. Ancient Chinese emperors took mercury pills in hopes of achieving immortality. Ironically, these pills probably shortened their lives considerably. In the 16th to 19th centuries, mercury was the primary treatment for syphilis, administered as ointments, vapor baths, or pills. The treatment gave rise to the phrase, "a night with Venus, a lifetime with Mercury," acknowledging that the cure might be worse than the disease. Patients would experience mouth ulcers, tooth loss, and neurological damage. Many died from mercury poisoning rather than syphilis. Even children weren't safe. Teething babies were often given mercury compounds to ease their pain, and laxatives containing mercury were common in the 19th century. We now know mercury is highly toxic, causing kidney failure, neurological damage, and death. But it took us an embarrassingly long time to figure that out. Number 4. Lobotomy, surgery to fix the mind. In the 1930s through the 1950s, if you had severe mental illness, you might be subjected to a lobotomy, a surgical procedure severing connections to the prefrontal cortex of your brain. American psychiatrist Walter Freeman popularized the ice pick lobotomy, where he would literally insert an ice pick-like tool through the patient's eye socket hammer it through the thin bone with a mallet, and then wiggle it around to sever brain connections. The procedure took about 10 minutes and often happened without anesthesia. Freeman performed or supervised about 3,500 lobotomies, sometimes doing dozens in a single day, like a twisted assembly line. He even lobotomized John F. Kennedy's sister, Rosemary, who was left severely incapacitated for the rest of her life. While some patients showed reduced symptoms, many were left in vegetative states or with severe personality changes. Despite this, Portuguese neurologist Antonio Egas Moniz won the 1949 Nobel Prize in Medicine for developing the procedure. The development of effective psychiatric medications in the 1950s finally ended the lobotomy era, but not before thousands had been irreversibly altered. Number 5. Radium, the glowing cure. After Mary and Pierre Curie discovered radium in 1898, it quickly became a health craze. People in the early 20th century genuinely believed radiation was good for you. You could buy radium-infused drinking water, chocolate, toothpaste, and even suppositories. Spas offered radium water baths, and cosmetics contained radium promised to give a woman a healthy glow. Which, to be fair, they literally did by making their faces glow in the dark. The most famous victims were the Radium Girls, factory workers who painted watch dials with radium paint and were encouraged to lick their brushes to keep them pointed. Many died painful deaths from radiation poisoning, with their bones literally crumbling. One entrepreneur, Eben Byers, drank a radium-infused tonic called Radithor daily for years. He died in 1932 when his bones began disintegrating and his brain developed abscesses. The Wall Street Journal ran the headline, "The radium water worked fine until his jaw came off." That's quite the product review. Number 6. Smoking for health. It's hard to believe now, but doctors once prescribed cigarettes for asthma, hay fever, and other respiratory issues. In the 1930s through the 1950s, tobacco companies frequently used doctors in advertising. A famous Camel cigarette campaign proclaimed, "More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette." These weren't actors in white coats, these were actual practicing physicians endorsing cigarettes. Asthma cigarettes containing tobacco and stramonium were sold well into the 20th century. Some doctors believed the smoke dilated air passages in the lungs, providing temporary relief, before causing much worse problems long term. Pregnant women were sometimes advised to smoke to ease constipation and relax before delivery. Even more shocking, some doctors recommended smoking to prevent weight gain. It wasn't until the landmark 1964 Surgeon General's report that the public health consensus definitively turned against smoking. Number 7. Hydrotherapy, water torture as treatment. In 19th and early 20th century mental asylums, water was weaponized as treatment in the form of hydrotherapy. Patients might be subjected to high-pressure jets of cold water, wrapped like mummies in ice-cold wet sheets for hours, or forced to sit in bathwater for days at a time. Some were strapped into bathtubs with only their heads exposed and forced to stay there for up to 8 hours. The most extreme version was the surprise bath, where unsuspecting patients were dropped through trap doors into cold water tanks. Nothing says healing quite like the shock of sudden submersion. Doctors genuinely believed these methods would calm agitated patients, improve circulation, and restore balance to the nervous system. In reality, it was often used to punish unruly patients or simply keep them subdued. Modern hydrotherapy, like water aerobics or whirlpool baths, thankfully bears no resemblance to these torturous treatments. These 7 medical practices remind us that cutting-edge medicine is always evolving. What we consider barbaric today was once standard practice performed by well-meaning professionals who genuinely thought they were helping. It makes you wonder, which of our current medical practices will make people cringe 100 years from now? Maybe chemotherapy will seem brutally primitive. Maybe our surgical techniques will look medieval. Maybe they'll laugh at us for using antibiotics instead of some nanobots that we haven't invented yet. The history of medicine isn't just about laughing at our ancestors' mistakes, though that's definitely part of the fun. It's about recognizing that medical progress comes through trial, error, and sometimes truly bizarre detours. What's most important is that we maintain scientific rigor, constantly question our assumptions, and remember that "we've always done it this way" isn't good enough when it comes to human health. So what do you think? Which of these historical medical practices shocked you the most? Would you have fallen for the radium water trend, or would you have been skeptical? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this stroll through medical history's Hall of Shame, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more historical deep dives. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep your curiosity burning bright, just don't treat it with radioactive tonics or a hole in your head.